The brown envelope sat on the passenger seat for 20 minutes. She did not open it in the doctor's office. She did not open it in the lift. She walked to the car park, put it on the seat beside her, and sat with both hands on the steering wheel. The hospital car park was quiet at that time of morning. A man in blue scrubs was eating something near the entrance. A child was crying somewhere inside the building. She could hear it through the glass. She opened the envelope at 11:47 a.m. She read the letter once. Then she folded it. Then she put it back inside the envelope, exactly as she had found it. She sat there for another 8 minutes. Then she started the car. She did not go home. What she did next, and what she never told a single person for 10 years, is the reason I am standing here today. Welcome to Tales of Africa Studio, where Africa's most powerful stories come alive. Subscribe and turn on that notification bell to stay updated on our latest videos. Her name was Ine. She was 38 years old. She had 3 children. Chito was 11, Obiora was 9, Kene was 7. Her husband, Chuku, was a secondary school headmaster in Nnewi. He left the house at 6:15 every morning and returned at 6:40 every evening. She knew the time exactly. She had watched the clock every day for 14 years. She ran a small provision store on the main road, 12 by 14, corrugated iron roof. The rain was loud on it when it came, but she kept the inside dry. She had a system: plastic sheeting over the top shelves, buckets in the corners, and the radio on so the customers had something to wait to. She had planted her first cassava stems in the compound 3 years earlier. Nobody asked her, nobody suggested it. One morning she went to the market, bought 40 stems, and put them in the ground behind the kitchen. By the second season, she had expanded to a 1/4 acre on the land her father had left her. Nobody had thought much of it. It was just cassava. And then, on a Tuesday in March, at Chuku Memorial Hospital, Auka, the day that changed everything. It was a Tuesday, March the 7th. She had taken the appointment herself, told no one where she was going, told the children she had a meeting about the shop. The waiting room at Chuku Memorial smelled of antiseptic and something floral they used to cover it. She sat in the 3rd chair from the door. The chair had a crack in the plastic arm. She found it with her thumb and pressed it over and over while she waited. Dr. Emeka was 44. He had a certificate on the wall from the University of Lagos. He had another from the College of Medicine in Enugu. He wore his stethoscope during the consultation. He did not remove it. He read from a folder. He spoke with the folder open on the desk between them. He said, "The results indicate a malignancy." He said, "The location is advanced." He said, "At the current stage, we are looking at a prognosis of approximately 6 months with intervention, possibly less without. You should begin to think about arrangements. 6 months is the ceiling, not the floor. I would begin those conversations now." She looked at the certificate from the University of Lagos. She looked at the stethoscope. She looked at the folder on the desk between them. She did not speak. He said, "Do you have questions?" She picked up her bag. She said she understood. She left. She did not call Chuku. She did not go to her pastor. She did not go home. She drove to Eke Market. She parked the car. She walked past the fabric stalls, past the grain sellers, past the woman who sold palm oil from rusted drums, until she found the man who sold planting stems near the back corner of the market. She bought 40 cassava stems. She put them in the boot of the car on top of the envelope. She drove home.
That afternoon, while the children were in school and Chuku was at work, she went to the quarter-acre behind the kitchen and she planted every one of them, one stem at a time, in the same ground her father had left her. There was something she did before she planted each one. What she said to each stem, what she whispered into the soil, I did not know until the morning she told me.
The night of March the 7th, I am lying in bed beside my husband. He is asleep. The envelope is in the bottom drawer of the wardrobe on my side, under the wrapper I wore to his mother's burial. I am counting the stems I planted today. 40 stems. Last season, 40 stems gave me 200 kilos of tubers. I think about Dr. Emeka in his office. I think about the folder on the desk between us. I think about the word arrangements. Here is what I have decided. I am not going to tell them. Not Chuku, not my mother, not the pastor, not a single person. If I tell them, they will spend whatever time we have together learning how to grieve me. They will look at me differently. They will hold back. They will begin saying goodbye when I am still here. I am not going to spend whatever is remaining telling people it is remaining. Kene is 7. I want the last thing he remembers of his mother to be his mother, not his mother's illness. So I got up. At 2 in the morning, while they slept, I got up and went outside. I stood in the cassava plot. It was a warm night, no wind. I could see the stars above the roofline. I said, "You will grow, and so will I." Then I went back inside. I made the bed. I made it in the dark so he would not wake. Then I lay down, and I waited for morning.
March passed. April. May. She kept the follow-up appointment on April 20th. She sat across from Dr. Emeka again. She asked one question. What should I eat? He told her. She wrote it down. She thanked him. She left. She changed nothing about her daily life. She opened the shop at 7 a.m. and closed it at 6:30 p.m. She cooked. She attended school meetings. She paid the children's fees. On Sundays, she went to church. She sang. She collected the offering. She listened to the sermon. She drove home. What she added: one additional visit to the cassava plot every morning before the shop opened. She checked each stem the way a nurse checks a patient, looking at the leaves, the color of the soil, the moisture level at the base. By June, the stems were a meter tall. By August, she harvested the first round. 320 kilos. She sold 200 at Eke Market. She kept the rest. She replanted immediately. 60 stems this time. 6 months came and went. She did not mark the date. She found out later, much later, that Dr. Emeka had noted it in his file. What the file said about the patient who did not return to treatment and did not die was something she would only find out in year 4. Year 2. December. She woke at 4 a.m. with pain on her left side. She lay still for a long time, measuring it. She had been measuring it for months. The way it came, the way it moved, the days it was less, and the days it was more. This morning it was more. She got up. She went to the kitchen. She made herself hot water with ginger. She sat at the table until 5:30 a.m. She did not wake Chuku. At 6 a.m., she went to the cassava plot. She stood in the middle of it. The stems were taller than her now.
She thought about going to the hospital. She thought about what they would say. She thought about what would change if she went. She bent down and checked the soil at the base of the nearest stem. She stood up. She went inside and started making breakfast. She did not go to the hospital that day or the next.
Year 4, February. Her sister Ngozi called from Lagos. She said, "I spoke to someone at National Hospital. There's a doctor there, new. He is doing something different. You should go." She did not ask how Ngozi knew. She had not told Ngozi. She understood that things move, that someone had seen something or heard something, and that the information had found its way to Lagos without her sending it. She went. She sat in a different waiting room in a different city. This doctor's name was Dr. Adeze. She was 35. She had no stethoscope around her neck. She sat across the desk and she said, "Tell me everything." She told her everything. 4 years of everything. Dr. Adeze listened. She ordered tests. She called 3 days later. She said, "I need to explain something to you." She said, "Your original diagnosis was not wrong." She said, "What you have done since, the diet, the activity, She paused. She said, "I don't know how to explain what I am seeing, but I want to do more tests." For 3 weeks, she believed this was the moment, that it was over, that she had done something that medicine could not account for, and now someone was going to confirm it in numbers. The third set of tests showed what the first set had missed. It was not gone. It had changed, but it was not gone. She drove home from Abuja in 4.5 hours. She did not stop. She got home at 11 p.m. She went to the cassava plot in the dark. She stood there until the compound light clicked off on its timer. That was not my moment. Mine was still coming. Year 5, August. She had not left the house in 4 days. Not the shop, not the market, not the cassava plot. On the 4th morning, Chito knocked on the bedroom door. She was 11 when the diagnosis came. She was 16 now. She stood in the doorway. She looked at her mother in the bed. She looked like the room. She looked at the wardrobe. She came in and sat on the edge of the bed. She did not ask what was wrong. She did not ask what happened. She said, "The cassava needs water." She sat there for a long time. Then she said, "Mama, the cassava. Your cassava does not know you are tired." She lay still for a moment more. Then she got up. She went to the kitchen. She washed her hands. She put on her wrapper. She went outside. Chito followed. They did not speak. They watered the cassava together in the morning light. Year 7, January. A woman came to the compound. She was not someone she knew. She said she was from the district government agricultural office. She said there was a program. She said it was for small-scale farmers. She said it included land assessment, a possible relocation of qualifying plots to the new cooperative development area, and a payment. She said, "Your plot qualifies." She said the relocation would take effect in March. She looked at the woman. She looked at the document. She looked at the cassava plot behind the kitchen. Now 1.5 acres, over 1,000 stems. The roots she had planted in the ground the afternoon of the diagnosis. The ground her father had left her. She picked up the paper.
She put it on the table. She put both hands flat on the surface and she looked at it without picking it up again. She thought about being 38. She thought about the envelope in the wardrobe drawer. She thought about 7 years of mornings. I had not come this far to stop here. She went the following week to the district office. She brought her title documents. Her father's name was on them, and hers. She sat across from the officer for 40 minutes. She did not raise her voice. Her plot was removed from the relocation list.
Year 8, 3 acres, 1 hired hand. Year 9, first contract, a supply agreement with a gari processor in Onitsha, 8 tons per season. Year 10, she told Chito. Just Chito, one evening after dinner. She put the envelope on the table between them. Chito looked at it. She did not touch it. She cried for 3 days. On the 4th day, she came to the kitchen where her mother was cooking. She said, "You should have told us." Her mother kept stirring the pot. She said, "To what end?" Year 11, 5 acres, 4 employees, second supply contract, a starch processing facility in Asaba. And then the call, from a number she did not know. It was the office of Dr. Emeka. He had not died of a heart attack in year 4. That detail was different in her telling. What had happened was this. He had been following her case file. He had noted her absence. He had, over 12 years, watched the file that was supposed to close in 6 months stay open. He wanted to meet with her. He wanted to understand what she had done.
She drove to Aka. She parked in the same car park at Chukwu Memorial. She sat in the car for a moment. She reached into the back seat. She took out a small bundle wrapped in cloth. Inside it, a single cassava stem, fresh, roots still intact, soil still on it. She had cut it that morning from the first section she had ever planted, from the exact row she had put in the ground the afternoon of the diagnosis. 12 years of mornings, one stem from the same ground. She got out of the car. She walked across the car park. She walked past the entrance where the man in blue scrubs had been eating that morning, 12 years ago. She walked to the lift. She went up. The corridor on the 3rd floor smelled the same, antiseptic, and the floral thing underneath it. Her shoes made a sound on the floor she had not heard in 12 years. A specific sound, quiet, even. The sound of someone who had spent 12 years walking towards something she did not know how to name and was now almost at the door of it. She passed the reception desk. She passed the door of the room where the child had been crying the morning of the diagnosis. She passed the waiting room where she had sat in the 3rd chair from the door and pressed the crack in the plastic armrest. The cassava stem was in her right hand. She carried it the way she had learned to carry everything from that plot, carefully, because you do not waste what you grew.
Dr. Emeka was 56 now. He had a new certificate on the wall, a different university. He was thinner. The stethoscope was not around his neck. He stood when she came in. He looked at her. He looked at the cassava stem in her right hand. He said, "Please, sit." She sat. She put the stem on the desk between them, in the same place where the folder had been. He said, "I have read your file many times." He said, "I have tried to understand what happened." He said, "I wanted to speak with you because what you have done is not something I can account for with what I learned in Enugu or Lagos." She looked at the cassava stem on the desk. She looked at the window. She looked at him. She said, "You told me I had 6 months.
He said, yes. She said, you used the word arrangements. He was still. She said, I planted cassava instead. He sat with that for a long time. She picked up the stem. She turned it once in her hands. She placed it back. She said, he was right about the 6 months. He was wrong about which direction they were pointing.
I want you to hear something. A doctor is trained to read what is present and name what it means. That is what Dr. Emeka did. He read what was there. He named what he saw. He was not wrong about the evidence, but she knew something he could not measure. She knew that the distance between 6 months and 12 years is not a medical quantity. It is a daily one. Every morning she got up. She went to the plot. She checked the soil. She came back inside. She made breakfast. She opened the shop. She lived. She did not do it because she was certain of the outcome. She did it because certainty was not available. And in the absence of certainty, the only thing she could grow was cassava. The doctor gave her a number. She planted something instead. The number has not moved. The cassava is now in its 12th year. Her youngest, Kene, is 19. He works 2 mornings a week on the farm before school. He does not know what the envelope in the wardrobe drawer contains. She prefers it that way. The cassava does not know she is tired. It grows anyway. She learnt that from it.
If this story found you at the right moment, share it with one person who needs it today. Drop cassava in the comments. Tell us what you grew when someone told you your time was up. Tell us what you grew. Subscribe to Tales of Africa Studio. Find us on YouTube at Tales of Africa Studio. Every day, come another story the world forgot to honor. The next story is already waiting. You will not be ready for it.